for this topic, we have double object pronouns. This is, we're going to put in practice what we learned already about direct and indirect object pronouns. Bien, here. In lecciones 5 and 6, you learn that direct and indirect object pronouns replace nouns and that they often refer to nouns that have already been referenced. You will now learn how to use direct and indirect object pronouns together. Observe the following diagram. Tenemos indirect object pronouns and direct object pronouns. The first rule to remember is that the indirect object pronoun goes first. Bien, always. So, acá tenemos indirect and then direct. So, indirect object pronouns, we have me, te, le, or se, nos, os, les, or se. We will learn when to use se instead of le, or se instead of les in a few seconds. Direct object pronouns, lo, la, los, and las. Yes, direct object pronouns are also me, te, nos, and os, but we will see when to use them in this version, lo, la, los, and las, and when to use me, te, nos, or os. Here, let's go step by step. When direct and indirect object pronouns are used together, the indirect object pronouns always precedes the direct object pronoun. That's what I just mentioned. For example, let's take a look at this sentence. Bien, here, la camarera me muestra el menú. The waitress shows me the menu. In this sentence, the menu, which is the direct object, is written as the direct object, is written as direct object, not as pronoun yet. How do we make it a pronoun? We're going to do it here. La camarera, subject, me, indirect object pronoun. Now, el menú, because it's masculine and singular, we're going to use lo, me, lo, and the verb remains the way it is. Me lo muestra. In other words, the waitress shows it to me. Bien. So in English, we say it, which is lo, first, then to me, which is me, after. In Spanish, the indirect object goes first, always. Me, lo. Bien. Let's see another example. Nos sirven los platos. Okay, because we have sirven, we know that the subject is they. We don't know if it's ellos, ellas, or ustedes. But the translation is they serve us the dishes. Okay, nos is already written as indirect object pronoun. Now, we have los platos, which is direct object. What is the direct object pronoun for los platos? Masculine plural is los. So the last version would be nos los sirven. They serve them to us. We can add at the beginning ellos nos los sirven, o ellas nos los sirven, o ustedes nos los sirven. We don't know who's the subject. That's the way it is written for the example. That's also allowed. Bien. Let's take a look at the next example. Maribel, here we have the subject written. Maribel te, which is to you, pidió, past tense of pedir, una hamburguesa. Okay, Maribel ordered a hamburger for you. Okay, direct object, una hamburguesa. Hamburguesa, feminine singular. Direct object pronoun is la. Okay, now let's put it together. Maribel te, indirect object pronoun first. La, direct object pronoun, pidió. Maribel ordered it for you. Bien. These are 3 examples. Vamos a ver. Let's take a look at the next rule. In Spanish, 2 pronouns that begin with the letter L cannot be used together. This is very important, okay? So I'm going to say it one more time. In Spanish, 2 pronouns that begin with the letter L cannot be together, cannot be used together. Therefore, the indirect object pronouns le and les always change to se when they are used with lo, los, la, and las. Let's take a look at an example. Les escribí la carta. I wrote him the letter. Sorry, le escribí la carta. Le, to him. Okay, now la carta is feminine and singular. So the direct object pronoun is la. The last version is se la escribí. So the le becomes se. Why? Because the next letter from the pronoun that we're using is L. We can't say le, la, escribí. That's not allowed. We have to say se, la, escribí. Let's take a look at another example. Les sirvió los sándwiches. He served them the sandwiches. Okay, les to them, right? Sandwiches, direct object is masculine and plural. The direct object pronoun is los. So because we have les here, it's supposed to be les los sirvió. But according to the rule, we can't have el here and el here. So the first one becomes se. Instead of les, we write se. Se los sirvió. He served them to them. Even if, so it doesn't matter if you have le or les, you will end up with se. If the next pronoun starts with L, like la, los, lo, or la. These four possibilities, lo, los, la, and las. Okay, let's take a look at the next page. Let's see what we have. Next rule. Because se has multiple meanings, Spanish speakers often clarify to whom the pronouns refer by adding a usted, a él, a ella, a ustedes, a ellos, o a ellas. We saw this situation before. El sombrero, Carlos se lo vendió a ella. Okay, se lo. We don't know who is se. The first version of se could have been le or les. We don't know. That's why we need to be specific and clarify at the end, repeating the indirect object, a ella. Okay, the hat, Carlos sold it to her. Now we know that it's to her. Otherwise, we wouldn't know. Se lo. Another example. Las verduras, ellos se las compran a usted. Oh, the vegetables, they're buying them for you. Oh, a usted. Because we have se here, we don't know if it was le or les in the first version, and who is the indirect object. So we know now that it's a usted. A usted. We can clarify or we can emphasize also. Okay, let's take a look at the last rule, I think. No, we have two more. This rule is well known by us already. We studied this rule before. Double object pronouns are placed before the conjugated verb. With infinitive and present participles, they may be placed before the conjugated verb or attached to the end of the infinitive or present participle. Remember when we studied direct object pronouns with two verbs and also indirect object pronouns with two verbs, two different possibilities before the first verb or attached to the second one. Same thing. These two pronouns, they need to be always together, always, nothing in the middle. Yeah, nothing. For example, te lo voy a mostrar. We have voy a, one verb, mostrar, the second verb. So we have two possibilities. That te and lo pretend that the two pronouns are one word. They always have to be together, either before the first verb or attached to the second one, but always together, nothing in the middle. Te lo voy a mostrar or voy a mostrar te lo. Te lo. Another example. Nos las están comprando. Están comprando. Two verbs. Nos las, always together, either at the beginning or at the end. Nos las están comprando or están comprando nos las. Nos las, always together. Here, nos, nothing in the middle. We can't say nos están las comprando. No. Nos and las, always together, nothing in the middle. Te, lo, always together, nothing in the middle. The two pronouns together. Bien. Let's take a look at the last rule here. As you can see above, when double object pronouns are attached to an infinitive or a present participle, an accent mark is added to maintain the original stress. And this is what we already studied with indirect and indirect object pronouns. Acá tenemos, when we place the two pronouns at the end, we need an accent mark here in the verb in order to maintain the stress. Están comprándonoslas. Voy a mostrártelo. Ajá. Okay, chicos, I'll see you guys in the next video.